I'm getting married next month to I mean,
Okay, I'm going to share a little story here. So I saw this film. CK reached out to me on Twitter just to compliment the mobile filmmaking, the festival. And so randomly, sometimes, there are billions of people on Twitter, and they say something. Sometimes you go like and you move on, or you retweet and you move on. And once in a while, I'll actually click on somebody's profile. And so I saw his profile, and I went and I said, I need to figure out why this guy is really complimenting the mobile filmmaking thing and what we're doing. Not just myself, but other people that are involved in mobile filmmaking. And I clicked on his profile, and I went to his website. And there he has the film right there on the front page. And I said, oh, this is interesting. I've got random time to go sit down and watch this film. And I sat down and I said, well, sometimes, I do have, that ADD thing where you only watch the first few seconds. If it doesn't have my attention, I'm moving on. And I sat there, and I'll remember the chair that I sat on where my laptop was in the dining room. And I'm sitting there, and I watched the whole thing. And I smiled just like I was smiling right now, and I just told you that, CK. And my cheeks were hurting from the smiles. And he has this approach, and and then there were a few tears here and there, happy tears, like a very moving thing, because there's so much in a hug, right? And it affects people. And then I realized, this isn't just a video. This is not just a selfie video and look at this event, like an event that something happens. This is actually a story, and when he came back around to see the ending of that, you have the beginning, and then you have the middle, all 61 hugs, or 65 plus. And then you come around to the end, you circle back to the end, and it brings you back to the beginning, and everything makes sense. And it's just like, oh, oops, sorry. I said, this is awesome and amazing. I'm going to let this guy know that I watched the film and I enjoyed it. And then I messaged him. And I said, I really like this. So I invited CK to come here to share this film, because I believe that had he not been here, had he not come here, it wouldn't have justified sharing this film with you. And with that, I bring you the man himself, the hug guy, CK Goldiing. Come on up here.
thanks. I'm gonna have to insist people never call me the hug guy. I mean, thanks. Why have you just given it to me?
Well, I do want to. I want to ask you something.
Sure.
So when we were all watching that film, and when you start in the film, when you leave the house and you hit the street.
Yeah.
It had this rugged guitar sound in the background.
Okay.
And it really fit. And then right after that, you have this high-pitched, longer tone. And throughout the film, I know maybe you missed it, everyone's watching and seeing different things. The music, though, was moving along, and it was getting more and more emotional. At the same time, were you aware of that when you were editing this?
Not necessarily. Certainly the final scene in the open space where I'd finished the challenge, but the universe brought me 3 further humans. I'm acutely aware that the music in that scene particularly, and I'm not going to speak for any of you, but I know the emotional response I had to that scene and the music, and it was just a happy coincidence that I found it. There's nothing fancy about where I sourced my music, by the way, guys. It's just legitimately YouTube library, simple, like YouTube free library, and that's where I sourced everything from that. And I was just really lucky, because sometimes it takes you forever to find a piece of music that matches the scene. But the universe was just on my side throughout the entire process of editing that film. And sometimes the first track, that'd go well there. Literally, that very rarely happens. Often you got to go through like 50 before something works. And even then it's like, oh, I'm bored of this, you'll do. But yeah, that all songs and came to me, and I'm not necessarily aware of it getting more emotional, but that last scene.
Yeah. Well, it really is, and I think, you know, like in the beginning, like I said, that rugged, you know, rough guitar, you know, whatever.
I actually don't like that bit, weirdly. That I like the opening music. I like, but then it gets a bit weird. But it's just I was not in a great place in my life. In the interest of full disclosure, I was not in a great place in my life when this film happened at all. So there's a lot of things in that the normal me, when I'm a happy CK, would have just changed. But I was like, can't be asked, you'll do. And that bit with the guitar was very much one of those scenes. I was like, that just sounds weird. It sounds like a horror film. There's nothing joyful about it. But honestly, I just didn't care. I just wanted to just get this film off my computer so I could just get on. I could just get on with living my life. And that is very unlike me, because I'm usually a perfectionist. But as the years progress, I've decided that perfectionism is actually, some people use perfectionism as something to be proud of, and I discovered as an artist that there's very few benefits to perfectionism. For the most part, it actually limits you getting shit done. Are there any kids in here today? Because I'm young.
After yesterday, some of yesterday's films, I think most of these kids are fine. But you know, I have to say that because your film, so I look at everything and I do go and see the details and I see the connections and things like that. And I just wanted to tell you that because from the way that I was looking at it, it's got this punk rock feel from the beginning. Like, hey, a rocker goes out. He's like on a rough sound guitar. Got this black and white, scratchy, you know, very hard shadows and things like that. Then you've got this rough, you know, I'm doing a selfie. I'm not stabilizing this. Half the time it's just my chin and my nose and, you know, all this stuff. No, it's great. And it all adds to the sound, and it has texture. Okay. And then as it builds forward, you get a little better, you know, with this, at actually getting people and getting yourself and little things like that. So less it's progressing. Less chin. Right? Well, you know.
As it progresses.
And you're hearing everything and you're feeling everything. And at first it's kind of funny and the things people say, but then you get to the middle of it and were you aware? I know what it was doing for you, you know, because you met this challenge, you already admitted that you had, you know, things that were affecting you that even brought up this challenge in the first place, and now, at the same time, were you aware of what you were feeling as far as, you know, maybe something with each one of those people, like why they would even accept the hug or not, even the ones that said no?
Was I aware of what I was feeling?
What they were feeling.
What they were feeling?
Yeah, the ones that accepted versus the ones who didn't.
You probably missed it, but there was a little final paragraph right at the end of the scene after my name was CK Gold. There was a little paragraph. If you missed it, by the way, guys, that said, to everybody that accepted a hug, thank you sincerely. Even those who didn't, you made this film exactly what it is. I don't feel any less of you because it gave the film texture and balance. And I'm delighted that this film had rejections. And I use the word rejections in inverted commas because I think everybody has the right to say this is not for me or this is weird or who the hell are you anyway? And it just gives it texture. In terms of am I aware of what they were feeling or thinking? I don't know, I set off on the journey knowing that something special was going to happen, and that's the thing, I am a huge overthinker, but I am aware that every time I set out on a challenge of this nature, where it's me and it's an idea and it's completely unscripted, every time I've done it before, special things have happened, and I'm a huge advocate of pattern recognition. So once you start seeing a pattern, i.e. CK, the last time you were terrified about one of your challenges, what happened when you did it? Something remarkable happened. So I saw no reason that this should be any different. So I just trusted the predecessors that something special would happen. I had no idea of the magnitude of wonder, if you like. But no, I don't necessarily know that I spent too much time thinking what they were feeling. I just assumed that they were like me and they were just open.
What do you say about the ones that were asking you, what's your YouTube channel? Because I know why they were asking. And not everybody asks because there are a million people out on the streets, right? and they're doing selfies on the part of that moment, and they just walk away. They don't care. I feel that they felt that they wanted to go back to your channel. Okay. Like they wanted to remember that moment because it was a HUD. That's what I think. What do you think?
Possibly. I mean, I defer to other people's interpretations of this, and someone said something that I'd never even considered, and it was one of the first people I showed this to. He said, "You know what happened to those two boys, don't you?" I said, "No," and he went, "That's the first time that they'd encountered a YouTuber in Sheffield." Now, I'm not like I don't have huge numbers, by the way. I'm like the most micro YouTuber in the world, but they probably didn't know that. So they just saw this crazy guy. They probably thought I was super famous. How wrong they were. But my friend said they just saw a guy with an idea filming, which you don't see in Sheffield. It's not like LA or, you know, where you're just used to it, but not at all. Like to see someone walking down talking to himself, he's either crazy or he's a YouTuber I've just not met yet. Okay, so they just probably thought, oh, he must be a YouTuber, this is cool, I've not seen this before, I've heard of YouTubers in London and Manchester, but not in Sheffield, let's go and check this out. And I think that's probably right.
Yeah, maybe for some of them, maybe at least for the young people that, what I'd like to open this up a little bit for the audience though, if you don't mind, and to ask you guys, and I'll be like Oprah, I'll just have kind of, you know, hey, so I'll bring the mic to you, so at least point it. Okay, not far enough, but come, get up. Go ahead.
All right, I don't know how the microphone's going to work.
I know.
All right, so while you're going through the walk, you're experiencing certain emotions, because I think it comes out that you really were nervous at the beginning, and then it changes. And then also while you're editing it, you're experiencing another set of emotions. Can you talk a little bit about like maybe how those two sort of emotional experiences between those two stages of your life basically be?
Absolutely, and I think the best way to answer that is that this was never meant to be a film. I think this is something I really need to hammer home. This was only ever meant to be another crazy CK vlog. This was never meant to be a film. So I'd edited it, I sent it to a friend, and he just said, the first thing he said to me, I'll never forget it because I owe him a lot. He's probably white, in fact he is white me here. He said, CK, you do realise you've made a film, and under no circumstances must you market this as another CK vlog. I didn't know what he meant. I said, what do you mean? He went, it just feels different to anything you've ever done. It was edited like that, but I didn't see it as a film. I still saw it as just a vlog that has some nice editing touches. And he said it is a film, market it as a film, because it'll give it more legs, more scope, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I'm here. That's why it's called a short film. And so because it was only ever going to be a vlog, the voiceover was an afterthought. It was only ever going to be me, what I was saying in the moment, but as I was editing it and I had the perspective of how I was feeling during it, I wasn't actually communicating that to the camera at the time. I was talking utter nonsense, right? Because you know, you can hear me speak, you can see me speak, but you can't hear what I'm saying. I was talking garbage, guys. I'm not going to lie. I was talking utter garbage. I was saying things like, "Ooh, that was a nice hug," or oh God, and I've got more 20 to go than I can have a beer. Just utter nonsense that was just doing a complete disservice to how I was actually feeling. So when it came to editing it, I remembered how I felt because I still felt it, to be honest. So I thought this needs to be dubbed over because I want you to know how I'm feeling. But you wouldn't have known if I didn't do that voiceover because I was talking nonsense. I hope that answers your question, Steve.
What was your choice for doing it all in black and white too?
Purely because, oh God, okay. So because I don't class myself as a traditional filmmaker, I just tell stories and they're invariably unscripted like this. It's an idea, it's the universe, it's me, let's see what will happen. Steve, for example, is what I characterize, John, he was looking at me, he's like, who? John is what I would characterize as a traditional filmmaker, as are everybody that's screened here today, and that's because you're just really good at the technical. I think my strength is the narrative and the making people feel stuff. So because when it comes to stuff like color grading, color correcting, I still don't even know what that means. So I just figured, because I've got this footage, as it stands, it looks a bit weird, so I'll just go for black and white because everybody likes black and white. I like black and white. It's going to take, and as I've outlined, I wasn't feeling great. I didn't want to figure out how to color correct. Black and white it is.
Yes, Neil.
So since the film's come out, have you been contacted by any of your huggers?
Yeah, actually. I'm getting married next month to one. I mean, we all agree. We all agree that would be the greatest story. With regret. With regret, no. Yeah, I mean, a few. In the interest of brevity, there's a lot that wasn't shown on there. So, like, I'd have like longer interactions with some people, would exchange details. You saw me exchanging it with the two boys, right? Getting my YouTube channel, etc. The people at the end. So immediately after that, I suddenly had like 3 or 4 different people hanging out with me on Instagram anyway. So yeah, naturally, just after those interactions, people found me, and I've not met anybody since, which is cool. I'd love to do like a big reunion or something.
Yes.
So you didn't need any releases for those people?
Okay, I'm going to answer this in the exact same way. I can't remember who it was that screened. In fact, was it you, Steve, that yesterday with absolutely no shame said, nope, they're all illegal? was that you? I remember thinking, mental note, that's me tomorrow. So.
They weren't established in the scene.
Pardon?
They weren't established, they were like background.
Sure. Yeah, that's well observed. And I remember drawing that distinction as well, because he was very articulate in the difference, actually. But in the same way that if I was vlogging, because I do a lot of vlogs in the streets and I talk to people, and I don't necessarily pursue a release or in that instance. So,
I think for the most part, people, when you're in public, at least here, you're fair game. I mean, you really are. Unless you're a child or a minor or something like that. But the other thing is, you are recording the video, and they are willingly being, a part of it.
Them, to be fair. I mean, it's not like these people have. I mean, I do draw a distinction between, people milling around and me just ramming my camera in someone's face and saying, "Hug me now." I mean, I do draw a distinction. So.
And I thought it was interesting the way you hug the women as opposed to the way you hug the men.
What was the distinction?
More tender, and the men you give like a little pat.
Okay.
Oh.
Fair.
That was my question. Did you have different feelings about hugging a man or a woman or an old person or a young person?
No.
Or the lady in the wheelchair?
No, I didn't care. I didn't care at all, and that's just me. Humans fascinate me, and humans are humans. It's just a happy coincidence that film depicts so many different ages, sexes, races, whatever. It's a happy coincidence that I'm delighted about, because I love the fact that, again, I just genuinely feel that the universe had my back for this entire process, and I just love the fact that it is so broad in the people that it brought to me, because I just think it makes it a nicer piece. But I had no control over that whatsoever.
Didn't realize Sheffield was so diverse either.
Yeah, Sheffield is diverse.
Yes, I do.
I wonder, you mentioned several times about the universe, and do you believe also then in vibration, the vibration that comes along, believing in the universe? Do you believe in that?
I absolutely do, and that's a very new world I'm exploring, and I can't stress enough, guys, like nothing in there is made up. It was literally the night before when I looked, because I eat very late, and I think it was about 1 o'clock the night before I was eating my pasta. I obviously had to refilm the last scene because I don't, as a habit, eat food and film myself. All right, so I was eating really late, 1 o'clock. I just turned around, and I've had that cooker forever. Like, what the hell does Hug 61 mean? And so the idea came to me instantly, because as a creator, that's one of my, I'm very grateful for that idea to come to me very quickly. I thought, what if you went and asked 61 people for Hug? So I was terrified, but I thought to myself, how do people use, that's the first thing I've done that's that intimate, and I was terrified of asking a stranger for a hug, okay? And then I said to myself, CK, how do people normally respond to you? In everyday world, the everyday life, how do people normally respond to you in any given situation? And the answer was normally with warmth, right? And why is that? Well, you're not sinister, you've not got an ulterior motive. Your vibration, if we go on that route, your vibration is normally a positive one, okay? So you only ever encounter positivity. So once I had that in a dialogue with myself, I was, forgive me, there's a curse coming up, I was still shitting myself, but I was willing to persevere because I knew the answer was usually people respond well to you.
I could sense a little bit of that tension and anxiety, but I felt more the good vibration that you were emitting was dominating the scene. And I think that made the universe conspire with you to make this beautiful piece. I think so.
I 100% agree with you, which is why a lot of the time people say to me, I wonder what would happen if you'd have, someone said it yesterday, like 61 hugs wouldn't work in, I think they said New York, I think.
Oh, Manhattan.
And
Yeah.
and other people back home in England have said to me, 61 hugs in London, not a chance. Both of those people I don't agree with, because I just don't agree with it. I'm sorry. People have said this to me before, and I've done stuff in London, and they always said, oh, I wouldn't have expected that, or this would be better in the north because you'd get even better response. I just think people are missing the point, and I just think it comes down to what you put out, you will get back. It's as simple as that.
I have something to say.
I would happily do this in New York.
I have something to say about that.
So just feel free to all chip in for my plane tickets.
I do want to say something about that, actually, because I think that we keep trying to classify people.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you right now, if you glance around this room, you will notice all the different people from all different walks of life. And one of the really great things is that everybody has a story, but also everyone has feelings. Hugs are very universal, just like a smile, right? And so I really think that you're correct in that, because I kind of thought the same thing. It's like, no, I believe that could happen anywhere. You can walk into a nightclub for a heavy metal, death metal place or whatever you may think about that, and encounter people who will gladly not only hug you, but maybe even save your life at that moment and watch out for you and care about you. So that's all I wanted to say.
Sure.
So, yes. Pacey.
You know, your film was very positive and uplifting, but I was thinking also it might be a suggestion or an idea, another idea, a coda at the end, because you seem very outgoing and positive, and you know, you're just kind of moving through this. Pretty much I didn't pick up much anxiety, although there was some self-questioning, but it might be interesting just to have a little coda at the end and really say, you know, this experience, I was uptight, I wasn't sure how it was going to work, and I pushed myself through it, and this positive thing happened. So it wasn't just the positive connection that everybody's seeing in the hugging, but it was a way of transforming myself as well, and that's a powerful message.
I agree. I would, however, counter that with I would hope that exactly what you just said actually comes through anyway, because I allude to it throughout via the voiceover that I was petrified, that I am naturally an overthinker, but there's one scene in the first 5 minutes when I say I always knew my experiences, so I was just willing to jump. And I'm not a huge jumper, guys, I'm massively still overthinking. I'm not the huge guy to just jump and take a leap of faith, but I just felt something here. So your point is valid and I agree with it. I just hope it was actually articulated throughout the film as well. Clearly you don't think it was, but...
So did this experience...
Sometimes,
Hammer it home.
you know, exactly.
Yeah.
So did this experience change you, and it not maybe change you, but maybe transform you into in any way, shape, or form at all since then?
No, and I don't say no in an arrogant way, because I think it was more a case of it was reminding me what I already knew and I've kind of been learning in the last year or two. So it didn't kind of change me, it kind of just reminded me, because we forget, my default is to worry. So all the good things that happen, like that voice, don't remember that. Just remember how scared you are all the time, right? So these exercises are good to just remind me.
Brought you back home
absolutely
to the
right.
heart. John?
Yeah. So I think a couple of people have brought up different locations. Have you thought about doing a follow-up in another location or with someone else?
With someone else.
Using someone, because there's a lot of variables here as to why this works, right? It's you're personable. I think you come across very personably, and it's your hometown, right?
Yeah.
But if you change any of those parts of the equation to see what happens, if you did this in New York, or if you did this here in San Diego, or if it was someone else.
Or if there's a language barrier.
I think you're getting challenged again.
There's your challenge.
None of them are as impressive. None of them are as impressive as my cooker, though. Can I just add that? I am not, John, against doing it somewhere else. I'm not against it, but equally, I'm not chasing it. Okay, so it's not like I had this wonderful experience and I thought, great, okay, now let's do a 61 hug series. Hey, Netflix. Come on, baby, come on. That inner dialogue hasn't happened because all you artists will relate to this, I guarantee this. All you artists are like, cool, what's next, what's next, what's next? And that what next for me isn't a rehash. If that makes sense. I already know what the next thing is. It's called The Train, and all my content is underpinned by unscripted content with strangers, the universe, and seeing what happens. So I'm 100% not against it.
So no sequels.
Not as yet, but again, I don't know.
So we asked you once, and so I'm going to come right back to you, I promise. Yes.
My question was, do you even want to do the same type of film over again? And are you looking to capture that moment again? You're looking for that next moment, and not, like you said, a rehash of this original, this idea, but something different. What's the next?
I mean, if you go back through some of my content, you'll notice that at the end, when I decide should I do something, I only ever ask myself one question: am I vulnerable, and am I showing people in a way they haven't seen before? They're my only two parameters as determine whether or not I do something. So when I had this idea, I thought, am I vulnerable? Because I know that whenever I'm vulnerable, people sadistically like watching it. Like, oh my God, how many rejections is this freak gonna get? Right? There's just something really compelling, and I realise as a writer that if I can crowbar vulnerability into anything I do, then I'm halfway there. The other thing is showing humans what they already know, but in a way they haven't seen it. Let's be honest, there's nothing groundbreaking here, right? We all know what a hug is, we all know what it's like to talk to a stranger, but we've not necessarily seen the two things happening together. And I think, we were going to talk about how do you make things relate to people. And I just think show them what they already know in a way they haven't necessarily experienced it before. So the follow-up called The Train, it leaves me really vulnerable, shows people a situation that they're all used to, a train scenario, but it actually flips it on its head a little bit. So listen, I'm happy to give my blueprint to everybody. It's simple. Am I vulnerable, and am I showing people in a way they haven't seen? That's literally all I want to do.
So this next part that I want you to talk about a little bit is, like what I've been saying. What do you do, who you are, and how can everyone that's sitting here and whoever watches this, how can they do something, not go around hugging people or kicking people or anything? I'm just saying, how can they make their stories on video go viral? And why I'm asking you that question is who you are. So.
Do you mean what do I do when I'm not dicking around making videos? Or?
Well, I mean, who you are that made you dick around showing videos.
I mean, there are 1,000,001 ways to gain traction for anything you produce. In this one, I just tried a lot of things that I hadn't done before, and it comes down to that old thing, like if you expect different outcome by doing the same thing, then you're a madman. Who said that? Was it Einstein or something? And there's certain things I've always been aware that I should probably do more, but I don't because it feels weird. And the main one that helped this go viral on Facebook, I think it accumulated 8,000 views within about 2-3 weeks or something crazy. And it was actually the first day I released it, I just told my friends, guys, I've just made this. It sounds really simple, but sometimes the most simple things are the most powerful. I just said, would you just share this? Because you know how the algorithm works. This is very granular about Facebook, but I want to speak more broadly. But if you'd like to share this, that'd be grateful. Then just more people started seeing it. Facebook, well, oh, this must be great. Showed it to more people. But so that's the mechanical way of helping yourself. But on a more granular level, I'd probably just defer back to what I said earlier on about showing people something that they understand in a way that they haven't seen it before. So there's nothing groundbreaking about what I've done. I'm just hugging human beings. Just a show of hands, who likes hugs? Okay. Who likes hugging strangers? There you go. So pretty much everybody put their hand up the first time. So I'm showing them what they know. Everybody was like, I ain't hugging strangers. so I've just showed them that. So there's the natural curiosity already. And I was vulnerable again, as I said. So that's just my blueprint. And I'm not saying everybody to use it, but I've got to admit, every time I have used it, people have just really connected with the content.
I also wonder how many people, as you were watching the film, with each hug, maybe felt a little bit of like, that was you hugging each one of those people. Nobody?
Yes.
Yeah?
I didn't realize it was a question. Yes.
Yeah. Because who hasn't hugged people, a stranger before, ever? Have you ever hugged a stranger?
It depends what you mean by stranger.
See, everybody agrees that they've hugged strangers. So to watch you hug 61 people, you almost feel like, I feel like hugging somebody and be 68 or something, you know, like
Sure.
like they're hugging all these people too, you know, living through your eyes, which is what we all do when we watch films, you know.
This is how God intended it. Factor 100. Chicken thigh from Ralph's. Meatballs from Ralph's. Hat, which is what I've been wearing throughout most of this vlogging. Given, made and crafted for me by Shanna, who enjoys watching my stuff and is a lovely human. Thank you, Shanna. I'll be meeting you later this trip. All served with a side helping of beautiful San Diego greenery. But anyway, back to the meatballs.
I guess that's pretty much it. Does anyone have one last question? Oh, two. Okay, John and then Nathan.
So maybe we're gonna touch on this because you mentioned the viral marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So like I follow CK on Twitter, and you, what it looks like you do is you send the movie to people, and then have them comment on it on Twitter, right? And you put like some images together of them with their five-star reviews.
My GIFs, yeah.
Yeah.
Love a GIF.
And it turns out really good, and you just see like people responding to your movie with these 5-star reviews, and like just has a really good feel to it. Can you talk about that aspect a little bit?
Sure, and that's new to me. Like that is so new. I mean, setting up a complete dedicated profile. I've never done that before. I've never set up a Twitter and an Instagram and a Facebook to any of my projects before. But as I finished this, instantly after the last hugs, I felt I've created something I've never created before, and I knew that very quickly. And I just felt, okay, I knew that this film was going to be discovered like in a drip feed manner as well. So I wanted people to discover it, then have the ability to just gouge out on everything rather than it be a CK putting it on the CK profile where they'll just watch the film, come on, and suddenly he's talking about something that has nothing to do with the film. Does that make sense? So I wanted there to be a 61 Hugs universe so that it's not cluttered up with my garbage. That was the first thing that I did. That in itself isn't unique. Lots of filmmakers have dedicated platforms, I guess. And in terms of the GIFs, that was me getting out of my own way, because as creators we sometimes feel, this is something I was speaking to Ross and Kimberly about, as creators we feel so icky self-promoting. I do, by the way, I still feel icky, but I had to really get out of my own way for this film, because as I mentioned, I knew it was special, and I knew that if I was me whilst promoting this, no one would ever see it, because I'd feel icky sending a tweet, I'd feel icky making that GIF with the stars, I'd feel icky quoting beautiful reviews. The default me feels icky about all of those, but because I knew I had to get out of my own way, I just couldn't afford to, so I thought, screw it, put them out there. So I was just really pushing. Do you feel icky about any, John, self-promoting?
I don't look at it as promoting me, I look at it as promoting the film. So it doesn't feel icky to me because it's just part of it, right? Because you want people to watch or buy the product, right? So.
Cool.
But because it's you, like I get why you feel that way, because you are the movie, right? Yeah. So you are promoting yourself. So I understand why you feel that way.
Well, we're all promoting our films as the filmmaker. And you are promoting yourself when you promote something that you create. That's what I think, right? Because that goes into branding, and we were talking about that as well. Nathan?
Well, I had a couple of comments because it was fantastic. Fantastic film.
Thanks, buddy.
Your narrative was great, but your heart's in it. You can tell everything. It's wonderful. So kudos to you on that. It's amazing. I'm definitely going to share the heck out of it when I get home. And like they were talking about earlier, maybe make a challenge to other people. Have 61 hugs somewhere else, you do that and find 61 people to maybe to showcase that, make that a thing. Because I can see this as a movement. This world needs more of that than it does anything negative. So I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying maybe that could be something rather than you going everywhere else, because that's time. Maybe you get other people and be engaged on doing that.
Totally agree.
You will make that happen in Indiana. I will do that.
Pardon?
I will bring that back, and I will do that in Indiana. I will have them.
I would love you to, and I agree. I would love that. In my heart, I've thought exactly the same thing. I would rather, however, it happened on its own volition rather than me becoming the pioneer of that. Right?
I got it, yeah.
Just put hashtag CK.
And I will do that.
Pardon?
Hashtag CK under this.
That would make me the hottest guy. I wouldn't do that. That would.
Yeah. But thank you, Nick.
Well, it would almost, like if it was me and somebody was saying that to me, it would be like, well, so you invented hugs and hugging strangers. And knowing him, he wouldn't want to take credit for that, am I right? You know, like, or have somebody feel like you're trying to take credit.
Yeah, and when I mean, listen, although I'm fighting the icky game, like that is too much icky. Suddenly creating the hug movement and saying, guys, I've done it, now it's your turn.
No, that's not what you
Yeah, but as I said, I would love it to accidentally happen.
Yeah.
I just don't wish to instigate it necessarily.
Well, you've inspired a lot of people to, you know, like the next time I don't know if you saw me, but I'm like, oh yeah, I totally love hugging strangers.
Mm-hmm.
I probably do 100 hugs of strangers whenever I go outside.
You talk to strangers all the time, right?
I do, I really do, and I've enjoyed doing that for many, many years, and that's why I asked you that question about has it transformed you in any way. I know that when I started to feel more comfortable, I used to be shy. And when I started opening myself up to talking to strangers, especially having something to say, which I would make up. It wasn't because of the film festival or anything. It was like, what a lovely day, or what a nice day, or oh, love your shoes, or something like that. I noticed that I got something from the response, especially if it was somebody that had no expression on their face. And all of a sudden, they're, you know, grinned and, oh, well, thank you, you know, and things like that, you know?
Yeah. Shit. Things are just going from bad to worse. The entire canister has leaked in my bag. The entire, look, nothing. It is. Oh. Drenched. This is the worst. If it's ruined my camera. Gross. Just, I don't know. Well, at least my bag won't get sunburned. And I'll share this with you guys, because I thought it was really weird. Someone said something to me that saw it before it was officially released. And they said, that hug you did with the lady in the mobility scooter was beautiful. Do you know why? I said, why? And I feel almost embarrassed saying it. And the person said it was probably the first hug that she's had in ages. And my first response was, well, why is it? Why is it the first hug that she's had in ages? Because she's in mobility. What's that got to do with the amount of hugs she gets? I didn't get it. It's not my place to assume anybody's backstory, you know. Maybe everybody I hugged has loads of hugs. Maybe I'm not the knight in shining armor we'd like to think I am. So I don't presume anybody's backstory. Does anyone else know why anyone would think she's not had many hugs? Because if so, please help me out, because I haven't got a clue. Right. Oh, go for it.
I have heard, I've read that people in wheelchairs are not spoken to, and they don't get eye contact, and if they have somebody pushing the wheelchair,
We'll speak to them, we'll address them.
Yes. And ignore
Yes.
the person that is less than eye level, and so they are non-existent in public.
So maybe then that speaks to my ignorance that I didn't get why. Because I can appreciate why that kind of behaviour would exist. But it doesn't really exist in my world, to be fair. And
when I learned that, I'd make a special effort to eye contact with the person and
Correct.
greet them,
Yeah.
speak to
Yeah.
them, and smile.
That's
She
what
had,
I...
she had the most interesting reaction. I mean, her name was Linda, I think.
Well done. Nice. Nice.
No, she was bright and cheery and everything. You really lightened her day. So.
I would argue that she's naturally light, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, oh, no, I didn't.
Sure. I'm getting really pedantic. This is weird, but I get you.
I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't get to look at her before you hugged her, but
Sure.
after the hug, she was like, she almost jumped out of the
What
chair.
number was she?
10.
Yeah, she was 10. She was
I love when people remember the details. I thought you remembering Linda was impressive, but she was 10. She was 10. I love that.
I think that's actually amazing. And was she, now that I know you guys were paying a lot of attention, was she the first one to actually even ask what number they were instead of, because I know you volunteered that information.
She was.
She was, huh?
She was.
She
yeah.
wanted to engage with you and be a part of.
And it's for me, it's those little touches that kind of just elevate it every time. The fact that people were active in it and asking, and they were curious. That's what I love about it. And yeah.
But I think as far as you didn't do a performance, you were doing your thing. Well, maybe it's a performance, but the point is that by number 10, you've hit that imaginary hurdle, and now it's like you were starting to have fun at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, up till then you were happy. You still had the kitchen with you.
I love that.
Yeah,
Can I make a GIF with that quote? Until 10, he had the kitchen with him.
You had the kitchen with you, and by that time you were out of the kitchen and nowhere near the cooker anymore.
Sure. For the record, actually, if you want to know the exact number by which time my fear dissipated, I would say 2. Chris, you know the guy in the house? I would say by that period, I'd completely forgotten about my fears, because like to have 2 people back to back open to the idea, it's like, oh.
Oh no, I saw that. But
No, I agree with what you're saying.
I know when you started hugging women, for instance, and it's another barrier.
Correct. Well observed. Yeah, absolutely right.
Did you have a lengthy conversation with Linda, or was she just one that kind of, since she was in the chair, and she just kind of go away?
Did I?
Have a lengthy conversation. You said that some of your conversations were off camera and you cut it short and narrated over, but was hers one that you actually?
It wasn't now, because I'm thinking, no, because yeah, that was one of the most real-time ones of all of them. I don't think there was any extra on Linda, because the amount of adrenaline and is it serotonin? And what's that happy thing that the other one that comes through with likes? You get it when you see likes on your picture. I've forgotten what it's called now. Dopamine. There we go. The amount of dopamine and adrenaline running through me by that time, I was just like desperate to find the next person. It was really weird. Like when I first started out, I was like, oh God, I gotta go and find the first person. But after a while, it was like, come to me. It's like really weird. Yeah. I need a carrier bag to transfer. It's all just, everything in here is just covered in sunscreen, and I need to get it out as quickly as possible. I'm going to ask this person here if they can help. Excuse me. Hey, do you have a carrier bag? I've had a sunscreen leak and I need to transfer everything out of my bag into a carrier bag. Let me see. Thank you. Worst morning possible. Oh. Oh wow, is that? Oh well, that would probably help actually.
Oh wait, no, I have another carrier bag.
That'd be perfect. Are you sure it's free?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Take care. See ya. Huh?
Charge him double.
See ya. You too. Charge me double. Okay, I have. Oh Christ! I think she's given me about. Is that 1 or 2 Target bags? Shit, Target bags are thick, you know. This is like a proper bag. Okay, so I have the means to transfer everything from here now. I'm late for the first day of the festival. Late. But what are you gonna do?
I'm kind of overthinker too, and I have like language barrier. So when I come back one day to Russia or Ukraine, I'll try to do it because in Russia or Ukraine, as I think, the people not so smiley, not so open heart on the streets. Let's say at house, our doors were more open than here.
Where are you from, sorry?
I'm from Ukraine, but I'm talking about like Russian streets. So we're not so open heart, we're not so smiley, but we're very like light inside. So let's say I will try to do this when I come back, because on our streets, I guess it will be more hard, but I will do it.
You can have the franchise in your.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I would like to know if you have anything you'd like to leave everyone with, something to think about, or any call to action.
Absolutely not.
Nothing.
And no, I mean, the only thing I want to leave you with is just thank you for being an incredible audience. I genuinely haven't been in that many rooms when it's been played. Like, really, it's under 10, it's under double figures easily. And you were just remarkable. So thank you sincerely for watching so actively and being engaged and letting me know which bits are funny. Because there's bits in there that I didn't even think were funny, but apparently I was wrong. So yeah, thank you for being awesome.
So it's kind of like a hug. You know, they get something out of it, you got something out of it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Great, and now for the record, give me a hug.
Oh, okay. I'm a bit sweaty, you sure?
I don't care.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay. The moment of truth. The camera. Is it still working? Oh God, please. Please still be working. Please. Okay, so the screen is still working. Let's see if it's got the footage. Let's see if it's got the footage. Oh, thank fuck.